Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's 7/13/24. Like Eli, I'm here with Eli, my co-host. Eli's fresh back off his cruise. So welcome back, Eli.
Thank you, Jim, and I'm glad to be back.
Eli, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little
Okay.
choppy over here, Jim,
Yeah, like
but we are glad to have everybody
I
back
don't
and
know
ready to go.
why.
But we're good to go. We're live,
Yeah.
and we're
So
we're gonna have a good time.
thanks for joining us, everybody. Yeah, we had a real good week. Got a lot of good feedback last week. So today will be no different. And what is different today is that we always start our show with the Mono-Logue, which is brought to you by Coriano Trucking of Summer Hill, New York. And Eli, you have this week's Mono-Logue. So take it away,
All right,
young
thanks, Jim, and
fella.
I'm glad to be back from the cruise, and we're ready to go. And we'll start off with the monologue sponsored by Coriano Trucking, and we're gonna go into the Nathan's hot dog eating contest and all the fun that happened there on last July 4th. Usually, we would have talked about it on the Saturday show, but we had a 4th of July special on Thursday, so we had no Saturday show last week. So we're gonna recap it now in the monologue, and there was some interesting moments there. We'll start off with the women's side where Miki Sudo continued her streak, continuing on with a 3P, as we like to call it, 3 back-to-back wins, entering and finishing the competition with eating 51 hot dogs in 10 minutes and beat her last year's score of 39.5 hot dogs. So it was pretty impressive to see. Congratulations to her. And it was a pretty good matchup on the women's side. While on the men's side, we have a new champion following Joey Chestnut being banned from the competition. We saw Patrick Bertoli ate 58 hot dogs in 10 minutes, which is less than Joey's past 5 years worth of eating hot dogs. But obviously, remember, Joey's banned, so we have to have a new champion, so on and so forth. But it is less hot dogs than what Joey ate in the past 5 years. However, there were reports of cheating by contestant Nick Weary, as he is seen counting and switching plates to up his count. He later admits that he would never cheat, but the count was reset by 5 to not make any legal allegations. So I think we all know he pretty much cheated if he flat out said it, but
Well, you also know he's the husband of the women's champ.
right. So, he wanted to make
Yeah.
sure, double win home. So
Well, here's some interesting, Eli, on that you just mentioned because Chestnut was banned, right? So
right.
he did a hot dog eating, a quote
Yeah.
unquote hot dog, whatever an impossible hot dog is. I guess it's plant based or something.
Yeah. The Fort
But
Bliss
he
hot
ate,
dog eating contest.
yeah, he ate like 51 or 52 in
57 in
5
5
minutes.
minutes.
So there
57 in
must
5
be a
minutes.
substantial difference between eating a Nathan's hot dog and eating a veggie dog, I guess, right?
I guess one's more deep fried. I don't know. How would you go by it, I
I
guess?
I wouldn't know. I
Well,
wouldn't know.
regardless, Nick obviously did not win, but he did take home $1,000 and fourth place. The winner, of course, got the mustard belt and $10,000. For the woman, it's a pink mustard belt. So that's the difference between the two. On the there's also a Netflix Labor Day special that we have to keep in mind about that is coming up for Joey Chestnut, which he'll be part of. So just keep in mind about that. How much more hot dogs can he eat? He did 57 in 5 minutes. How much more he can eat in so many more minutes? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
And Eric Badlands Booker is your champion for the lemonade drinking a gallon competition, as he drank a gallon over 21 seconds. Oh man, that's gotta hurt. And yeah,
Wow.
so the bottom line is don't cheat, don't eat too many hot dogs, and if you do, you're the next Joey Chestnut, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, listen, that certainly is an interesting monologue for this week.
Yeah,
But remember, this is a sport. Like
it is a
there
sport,
is a league. There's a league called Major League Eating,
right?
and that's who sponsors all of these things. So it's a money making thing. It's
Listen, I view it things like this.
sport.
If it's on ESPN, it's a sport. And for the past couple years before it moved to Ion, the spelling bee, the Scripps National Spelling Bee was on ESPN. So I considered that a sport as well. Because
Okay.
it's a spelling competition, it's on ESPN. If it's on ESPN, it's a sport. That's how I view it as.
That's fair enough. Good monologue, Eli. Thanks.
Yeah.
We're all up to speed on hot dog eating. So
Absolutely. That's all that matters.
excellent. So we got a ton of stuff to talk about. So let's jump right into it. Right, the Wimbledon championships are upon us. The women are playing right now. Paulina versus Krejcikova. So neither one of them have ever won a Grand Slam event. So we're going to have a first-time winner in the women's side of Wimbledon. You know, the expectations were very high for Coco Gauff and Iga Swiatek and those guys. But yeah, like I said, the women's side is so wide open now with,
Right.
anybody could win it. So that final's going on right now. And then, how about this? I mean, this is what a story is. And I don't think, let's see what was going on there. Eli, can you hear me?
Yeah, Jim, you're a little choppy right now. We can't really hear you too well. I'm on the YouTube side right now. You're a little choppy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. All right. Anyway, but so on the men's side, we got, believe it or not, Novak Djokovic is in the finals, and he's coming off like a knee injury. I mean, this guy just is relentless. So this is going to be a great final. It's going to be him versus, Djokovic off, but this guy's a robot. Seems like he's been 35 years old for 5 years now, but he's physically ready. And Alcaraz, he's only 21 years old. So this is going to be a great match, actually. And, the tendency is, when is the baton going to really be passed? So if we underestimate Djokovic in this final, we could look bad next week. But I do think this Alcaraz, he's already got 3 majors. I mean, it's just it's the dream setup that Wimbledon had and what was hoping for, and it's going to happen tomorrow morning.
Yep. Absolutely, it's going to be an interesting battle to see. We have obviously a new champ. It's going to be, the tournament's been exciting. We have a lot of ups and downs, as you mentioned, Jim. It's going to be a close running meet to the finish, and it's going to definitely proceed a lot as we get into the U.S. Open coming up in just a little bit over a couple months or so.
Yeah, but I love Wimbledon, and like I said, absolutely. I go back a long time, and I watched some great matches at Wimbledon. It's all, the whole pomp and circumstances is very cool too. But we got a great finals tomorrow. Can't wait.
Absolutely. And that is, of course, all live on ESPN for those who wish to watch it.
Yeah. It maybe isn't NBC carry it too? Maybe
ESPN is Wimbledon. I think NBC is now doing U.S. Open.
Gotcha. Okay. So set your stations for that. I know Mike Garvey's happy about that down in Naples, Florida. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
But again, on the men's side, there's really only a couple guys. It's Medvedev, it's Zverev, it's Sinner.
Yeah.
And these guys, those are the next group of guys, but none of them can beat either one of Djokovic or Alcaraz. So it's really
it's
amazing.
It's a close matchup to the finish that we'll have to see.
You got it. And listen, so let's also bring up, before we move on to Major League Baseball. So this is the British Open. The Open Championship starts this week. It's in Royal Troon in Scotland. And, you could never predict the weather that's going to be over there. And it's notoriously windy, and some famous holes. There's even a par 3 that's 123 yards. And it actually may play 99 yards. Sounds crazy on a PGA tour, but the British Open. So I got a couple of guys. I know Scheffler, and again, I'll kick myself in the behind for not picking him to win it. But I have 3 names that I'm going to give. I like what Justin Thomas is doing. Justin Thomas. hasn't been kind of on the radar for a while, just like Jordan Spieth. But
Right.
the British Open is something I think he has a legitimate shot at. I also like Matthew Fitzpatrick, the young kid from Scotland, and Tommy Fleetwood. These guys play a lot of British golf. Overseas in Scotland and Ireland and England and all that. So those are my three picks. But Scotty Scheffler will be in the mix for sure, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it either.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be either. I mean, after everything that happened previously in Virginia and everything with the whole police officer situation, I think he just wants to just move along and make sure that all is said and done. And,
Yeah.
he make sure he takes home a victory in the British Open side.
All right, Eli. So you're kind of developing into our resident soccer expert here.
All right.
So give us a little bit of a breakdown of the Copa final and the Euro final. We know who they are in the Copa, right? It's Argentina versus one of our loyal listener, Diego Cruz's country of Colombia. So he's very excited.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
But before we get into that, we got to start off with the big news out of Team USA, as they've officially fired head coach Greg Berhalter, as a new search is now on. He, of course, failed to help deliver Team USA to a soccer win, whether it's in the Copa America or the World Cup or in just individual matches together. So his time is up. So now a new search is on to find the next new head coach. We'll start with the Euro. We'll start with the Euro Cup now, where Spain beat France 2-1 on Tuesday, and England shockingly made it to the championship game following their 2-1 victory over the Netherlands. The championship game will be played tomorrow at 3 p.m. on Fox, Spain versus England. There is no third place matchup, unlike Copa America and the World Cup, as it is a tradition that continues and has been in place since 1980 over in the Euro Cup. Go ahead.
When you brought up England, this is right on the heels of you and I bringing this mention up that I wasn't aware of, that England hasn't won any kind of a major thing, whether it be World Cup or the Euro or anything like that since 1966. So I think they're outmatched. I think Spain has this young phenom kid. He's only 17 years old.
Right.
Lamine Yamal, who could, people are already comparing him to Messi and
you can't compare anybody to Messi. I'm going to point that out now. That's just what I'm just, I get what they're trying to do, but yeah. Right. But I mean, you look at it for England though, Jim, and I agree. This is a shock pretty much because the previous runs for England in the World Cup has always been the third place round. They will always lose the semifinal game. So it's a pretty shock to see, hey, look at that. England is actually going to try to actually win something. Are they outmatched? Well, we don't really know to say yes or no because both of them won 2-1 against their opponent, both the Netherlands. And in this case, for England, it was a shocking upset with France. It was France. They beat the Netherlands and Spain beat France. So you got to just look at those numbers real quick. It was only a 2-1 final. If it was a bigger score update, I'd say absolutely England would have be the underdogs in this case. But I mean, there still are the underdogs, but how I look at it is England's a brand new team, going to be nervous, and they're going to be tired, and they're going to be shocked to be in that situation. Will they be good? We might be surprised. However, this is the first time we have never seen them in a long time. I can't really give you a yes or no answer if England will give you the best shot. I want to say yes. I want to say no. We don't know how this England team is going to be in the playoff run. I can't. There's only so many predictions you can make. I'm going to have to go and say England's going to lose it, though, tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Spain is a better team anyway, but, momentum England has, it could go either way, but I look for Spain to beat them in that final, right? Yeah. And then
in Copa America,
and then let's talk about the Copa because you're right.
Yeah,
you mentioned Messi, and he is there, and so that's great for soccer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Argentina and Messi, that took a big 2-0 victory in Canada. It was right here at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey where that game happened. The next day, Colombia beat Uruguay 1-0. So it was a pretty exciting, series that we just had leading up to the final. You have Argentina, Colombia, 8 p.m. tomorrow on Fox. And then the third place matchup is tonight, 8 p.m. on FS1, Canada versus Uruguay. So you have a couple great matchups to look at between the next two. Argentina, Colombia, they're both going to be, that's probably one of the best soccer matches that we're going to have tomorrow in terms of the Euro and Copa game, because Colombia is this really good team right now. And then you have Argentina and Messi, who, of course, everybody loves Messi, and I think they will help deliver to success. My pick for tomorrow's game is going to be Argentina to upset and take over and beat Colombia. And for tonight's third place game, I'm going to give it to Canada to beat Uruguay.
Well, actually, my daughter was at the Argentina-Canada game in MetLife Stadium this week.
And did she enjoy the game?
She absolutely loved it. She took one of her little kid not little kid anymore. She's 16, but a real soccer enthusiast, and they had a great time. So
that's awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna go with you know what? I know it's messy, but I'm actually going to take Colombia, and not because of Diego Cruz or not.
No favoritism.
None at all. So who did you take in this?
I took Argentina, and I took Canada for third place.
All right. So I'm going to go with Colombia to beat Argentina, and I'm going to go with Spain to beat England in the Euro.
All right. I said same thing. I said Spain. England was, a brand new team. It's going to be shocking. It's going to be interesting. We don't know how they're going to play, but we do know that they're going to be nervous, and it's going to be their first time in pretty much ever that they're going to be playing in a big, heated game. So just be careful on who you choose tomorrow, because it's going to be a very, very good matchup to see. Will England actually win it? We'll find our results tomorrow, and we'll talk about it on next Saturday's show right here on Sports with Mono.
All right, Eli, soccer expert. Very well done. Thank you, buddy. Hey, Eli. So let's talk about Major League Baseball, because we're here at getting to the All-Star break. So when you look at what's going on right now, I think the Phillies have the most wins, the only team with 60 or more wins so far.
That's right.
Right, and the Yankees started off, and then they've gone into this kind of a tailspin. And you look at the lineup, the guys like Torres and LeMahieu, these guys are not hitting. And I don't know whether that makes them buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. I don't know how much market there could be for those guys, and they're not performing now. But, if it wasn't for Aaron Judge, who's literally, he could win the Triple Crown this year, and that would be absolutely amazing if he did. But I actually, I watched the game last night, and I really enjoy watching Derek Cole pitch. I think Derek Cole is one of the premier guys. I enjoy him. He's fiery, and but he's coming back healthy. So maybe we always talk about baseball being a long season, right? And they started out again. They always start out under Aaron Boone very well. And then they go through some kind of a tailspin and so forth.
Right.
So, but a combination of Judge and Soto, so that the Yankees should be okay, although they have fallen half a game out of first place behind the Orioles.
Oh, they have. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And there was actually a kind of a beanball incident last night, benches clearing ball at the Yankee game in the ninth inning. So when you look at the National League, obviously the Phillies and the Dodgers, and don't look now, but the Houston Astros, who really weren't playing very well. They were sub 500, just like the Mets, and the Mets have rallied back and are starting to win games. So, but the big question looms with the Mets: will they trade Alonso? And all that will depend on where we sit. Come the next couple of weeks. If they really feel as though this is the Mets team and not the team that started, and everyone said one of the worst teams in baseball, that remains to be seen. But the guys, look who's, these young guys coming up, like Ozuna in Atlanta. Look at the year he's having. Those guys, Ohtani, and these are some new faces, and we keep thinking, when's the bubble going to burst on the Cleveland Guardians, who got off to a great start considering. But yeah, let me see exactly where.
Well, just to give some thoughts real quick, I'm going to start with the Yankees and the Mets. Right now, the Yankees are at that, third place mark in the American League heading into the All-Star break. To me, like I've always been mentioning, it's always a roller coaster ride to the season. You look at the Mets right now, we were at a couple weeks ago, a point where they were like one of the worst teams to watch out for in Major League Baseball. Now they are wrapping up in 5th place. Will they continue to stay there after the break? I don't believe so. I believe with the Yankees and the Mets, the Yankees may be able to get a wild card spot looking at how their performance has been lately. But the Mets, they're just going to go right back down on the roller coaster. To me, I don't see any progress in these two teams. And I just don't see it happening. I mean, looking at the Dodgers right now, they're doing great. However, Shohei Ohtani, he's been doing some, inappropriate stuff, especially some of the basemen we've been seeing lately. I think this was a moment happened, I believe, this week. He was doing an inappropriate moment, if I'm not mistaken. If I believe it was this week. If I didn't.
What was that? I'm not following. What was that?
I believe it was this week. He was on second base and did an inappropriate gesture to one of the players.
Oh, well, I didn't even see a word about it. That doesn't sound like
yes.
Ohtani,
yes, I believe it was this week, if I'm not mistaken. Right, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was interesting to see.
Well, this is my take on the Mets. I mean, for the most part, nobody on the team was hitting at all in the beginning of the season. And now these guys are starting to hit. But we all know that the Mets bullpen is an absolute abomination. So that's killing them. They're losing games they should have won. But if these guys are going to start hitting again, they have a puncher's chance of at least grabbing the second wild card.
Right. So to the terms of the incident for Ohtani that happened on Thursday, the 11th, it was a dirty gesture that he did to the second baseman. There's stuff we, obviously can't mention about it, but you could just take a look at it when you get a chance to just see exactly what he did. But yeah, it happened this week.
Sounds unusual, but
yeah.
So Eli, give us your the home run derby. So give us who's doing the home run derby. I know Alonso's doing it, and
there's a couple player. I'm gonna pull up the full list, but yeah, it's happening. Home run derby is going to be on Monday, ESPN at around 8:00. It's going to be again another eventful sight to see. The participants that will be, of course, you have Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles, Pete Alonso from the Mets. You also have Alec Bauman from the Phillies.
Alec Bohm.
Jr. Yep, Bohm. Bobby Witt Jr. from the Royals. Jeff Judge, Marcel Lozano from the Braves. You have Jose Ramirez from the Guardians. Adolis Garcia from the Rangers. Teoscar Hernandez from the Dodgers. And a couple other more guys. But it's a pretty decent lineup. It should be pretty interesting to see how it plays out. Looks exciting to watch. Good couple of nominees out there. I mean, could be better.
When I was growing up,
but there is a rule changes that we mentioned on the previous show. So yeah.
Yeah, what was the rule change? I forgot.
I think it was about so many pitches, time, things like that.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I used to enjoy it more than I do now. But it's what a spectacle, for God's sakes, right? I mean, people watch it, right? So we're at the halfway point, and like I said, in a long season now, all the games matter. You can't blow games, and that you're supposed to win, and you should beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and that's how you make it in Major League Baseball. So,
and we have a comment from Eric. Good morning to all.
Yes, Eric. Good morning to you too. And by the way, Eric was kind enough to send me a picture. We had a notable passing, which I brought up with my friend Bob Petruska, and Eric sent us a picture of, God, well, I don't want to tell you how many years ago it was, but it was very, very cool picture, and I thank him. I don't know where he got that, because I don't know. That was just a great picture. Thanks, Eric.
So in terms of the home run derby, it's going to be exciting. You also have the draft tomorrow, presented by Nike, 7 p.m. on ESPN, and then MLB.com on Monday and Tuesday. The All-Star game is going to be on Fox at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. You have some pretty good games. Celebrity softball game is tonight. That's always fun to watch on MLB Network. So yeah, it's a pretty decent lineup for the All-Star weekend and break. Home run derby is of course exciting. I don't know. I mean, to me, that's a pretty good lineup. I have no issues with it. I know you have some, opinions on it. I don't know.
Where's the All-Star game being played this year?
It is going to be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Texas. That is, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, Arlington. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
It's Arlington. Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be nice and hot down there. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, it was hot already in Jersey. I mean, we don't need to experience that anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, people say, why these guys want to be in the home run derby in Texas. I mean, they take a lot of swings, and a couple of times people have come off the home run derby and weren't hitting in the regular season in the second half due to, they think it's too much. It's a lot of work, but
I mean, it is. I mean, it's not exactly easy. It goes. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, taking swings is easy kind of, but when you take 30 of them, that's a lot.
Right.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
So, yeah.
So, Eli, go ahead. What do you got for me?
Where are we going? NBA or where would you like to go?
Yeah, let's actually talk about the NBA for a minute because when we talk about them being this marketing genius, and Adam Silver certainly is that. I mean, the NBA is becoming a full 12-month discussion point right now because you had just coming off the Boston Celtics winning the championship, and now how big this summer league has become. Right, this is to showcase the first round draft choices. And people are watching these games, watching them very, very closely, forming their opinions about these guys and their future in the NBA. And, you have the G League and so forth. So, it's a round the clock coverage. And of course, people are watching, the Bronny James, who's not doing, he's 0 for 13 from 3-point in his 2 games that he's played. And, we know where he is and why he's there.
I mean, there's no question.
He's got a long way to go.
It's all for LeBron. And the fact that he was making top storylines already for Summer League, only 6 points at the first Lakers Summer League game, was pretty mind-blowing to me. Yeah. I mean, that's really going to be like all we're going to talk about. It doesn't matter who you are, even if you scored 1 million points. Bronny James, though, 6 points, lost the game for the Lakers. Let's talk about him making the front line article. To me, it was just a shocking, just to see how it's becoming. And that's our focus right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just disappointed when it happened. I'll be quite honest. Seeing that he was the cover for 6 points and a loss for the Lakers in the Summer League. I know it's only Summer League, but 6 points. Come on.
Well, hey, let's talk about who. There was like one of the biggest surprises of the Summer League was Cooper Flagg, who is on his way to Duke. He's only 17 years old, but he really stood out. And, so that's again, Duke getting one of the top recruits. He's projected to be next year's number 1 draft pick at 18 years old. So people are watching this stuff, just like we brought up before. Like all of a sudden, the WNBA is lead story on Sports Centers now, and everybody's watching what Asia Wilson's doing and what Caitlin Clark is doing, and Angel Reese. And I tell you, I don't know if it's sustainable. I think maybe this may be more of a novelty right now because we're coming right off the heels of Iowa, LSU, and the college thing. And
so, but it just takes the one athlete, Jim, to just change the whole perspective of sports and women's sports in general. We look at Caitlin Clark, her run, changed the perspective of WNBA, women's basketball, and many other women's sports. So it really does take that one person to spark it. And obviously, she's going to be a Hall of Famer and just on the top of the sports charts as an icon going forward. But you just got to look at it. It was pretty cool to see how one person really just sparked up this whole WNBA into a whole new group. I'll get into WNBA notes after we finish NBA in just a little bit. But, it's good to see some, change out there. And don't worry. I mean, we have plenty to cover between WNBA and women and NBA. But, yeah, I agree, though. I'm glad to see women's sports building.
All right. Yeah, so you mentioned a couple things in the NBA. What do you got?
All right, well, the Knicks and Jalen Brunson have agreed on a 4-year, $156 million deal. DeMar DeRozan signed a 3-year, $70 million deal to join the Kings. So 2 big pickups there. Bronny James will replace Kevin Durant for Team USA in the Olympics run. Dates and teams per groups have been announced for the NBA Cup games. So check it out if you're interested once more. And it will be returning this year. And the last news from the NBA is we should also expect, when the new media deals from the NBA go through, a Monday Peacock exclusive game, a Thursday NBA game on Prime Video, and maybe a Friday, Saturday Prime Video game. Again, it's all not confirmed, but this is more than likely what could take place once new contracts are confirmed. NBC, however, gets games televised every Tuesday and maybe Sunday, depending on the rotation, if confirmed with ESPN and the NBA. This is all nothing right now changing for the ESPN contract. These are just top storylines. TNT, of course, they will also put out a post that they will host the 2025 All-Star Game next year, which, of course, they still have the rights to. But they said they're going to not have big number success because it's also Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary. So they say NBC is already going to win it no matter what, because obviously Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary. They're doing a special that day. So we're just a matter of waiting game to see what happens there.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll go to the WNBA real quick. I'll give some notes on there real quick. Right now, the New York Liberty are in first place with a 19-4 record. Right now, they hold the best record in the league. Last night's scores saw Aces over the Dream 84-70, Fever over Mercury 95-86, Storm over Lynx 91-63. Today's games, you got the Liberty versus Sky at 1 p.m. on ABC, and the Sparks versus the Wings 3:30 on CBS. More games are available tomorrow on ABC, ESPN, and CBS Sports Network, and continue on Tuesday and Wednesday, with Monday no games being played. So an interesting halfway point there as we get ready almost for the playoffs come September time.
Right. If you would have told me 4 years ago we'd be talking about the WNBA as extensively as we have, I would have said you're crazy. And now look, it's just becoming, and you're right, it's Reese, it's Clark, it's Wilson, it's those players that people are coming to see. So things are pretty good on the hard court for both the NBA and WNBA. But you just mentioned this Jalen Brunson thing. Now, with all of the money these guys are getting, I don't know what's the backstory there. Why is, if he's certainly probably eligible for a max contract, and yet this is it almost seems, dare I say, paltry. 4 years, $150 million.
Yeah, I don't know how I look at it. I mean, to me, does he deserve it? Yes. Is the contract low? Absolutely. Maybe they're just trying to cut back on the budget, trying to give it to bigger guys. Like, I don't know. Like, what is the purpose of it? But for 4 years, 156 I think it's a bad deal. I don't know. Man, listen, don't get me wrong, it's a good deal, but 156 is a low number.
Yeah, considering Emmanuel Quickly got $150 million from
exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, I mean, it's the numbers are just getting low and lower. I mean, it's shocking. Like, why? But you're gonna give the guy, like, as you mentioned, a better contract than him. I mean, it's all changing. I don't know why. It makes no sense. What is the purpose of it? It makes no sense. I mean, sometimes you give bigger contracts and you fail the team. You give nicer contracts, small, and you're the hero of the team. And we see that a lot sometimes.
And it's hard for me to believe that. I mean, I know Jalen Brunson's a good kid. He's got good pedigree. His father's the assistant coach, but nobody leaves $100 million on the table.
Right.
So, either there's a handshake deal that they'll right this ship, if they win an NBA championship in the near future, stuff like that, But all right, Eli, basketball covered.
Yeah.
So guess what? We're a week away from training camps opening, and already, right? questions about, who's going to be the next star, who's going to have, the biggest impact from the rookie class. You're
Right.
going into the season without guys like Aaron Donald, who retired, and he retired 10 years into the league. I
Right.
think he was in 10 seasons. He made the Pro Bowl 10 times. And I
Right.
thought I heard somebody say the only other person who played 10 years with the team and made the Pro Bowl every year might have been Walter Payton, if I remember.
I think it was Walter Payton, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So that's, those are the kinds of questions when you lose a Hall of Famer, and he is a sure first ballot Hall of Famer without question, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, just awesome football player.
Absolutely.
So, he's not in the league now, and all these wide receivers got these big contracts. The
Right.
offensive linemen got paid. Everybody got paid except the running backs to a great
I
extent.
mean, that's going to be an issue that's going to be on the NFL's table for a long time, and I don't think it's going to be solved anytime soon. In terms of their contract being equally paired and paid, I don't see it coming anytime soon.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Other news right now in the NFL, the Titans have agreed to pick up safety Jamal Adams. He was a free agent following letting go by Seattle. The Commanders have announced the return of their gold pants to their uniform for a new edition this season. And the final news, Joe Burrow said in an interview with the NFL during an interview that if the NFL should go to an 18-game season, there should be 2 buys. One being Week 13 for the whole league to do the Pro Bowl games like an All-Star Weekend, which most sports have and do. Plus, he says then the Super Bowl should be then President's Day weekend, which means more time off with Monday off for the holiday. So I think it's pretty good advice what he offered. I mean, I agree now with the 2 buys. I mean, now it makes sense. As long as you move the Pro Bowl around and do the Super Bowl for the President's Day weekend, I think you have a winner with the entire league and its fan base, if you ask me.
I think they should do away with the Pro Bowl altogether because nobody watches it, and
That's
they
true.
don't.
But again, if you do it in the middle of the week, like Week 13, it's a good separation. It's a good pause and let's take a look at other sports happening. Because then when you do it right for the Super Bowl, then it's like, all right, now we're gonna have to talk for 2 weeks straight about the Super Bowl about to happen. Versus,
I can see your point. I guess I don't know.
I like his ideas. I don't know.
Well, I don't know that an 18-game schedule is a done deal.
It's not done, but if it does go through, this was his idea and plan that the NFL should do.
Right, but I think the players are going to push back on an 18-game season.
That's true.
So that still needs to be resolved at the boardroom table, I guess. So
there's a lot of ideas that need to be solved.
Looking forward. So football. Can you believe it? It is right around the corner already.
I know.
Which means
just entered it.
Right. College football is right there, and high school football, and like I said, I'm going to have Augie Hoffman, the head coach of St. Joe's, on our show in the next next few weeks. And like I said, one of our buddies, Luke Whippler, starting his 2nd season in the NFL. I'm going to try to get him on, but once these guys get to training camp, it's all business. So
absolutely,
it'll be difficult to talk to those guys, but we'll do our best. Right?
Absolutely.
All right, Eli. Let's
random points.
Let's move on to some random points of interest because, of course, that's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut, and also by Vital Selections.
That'll be for movies and of photos for the week.
Okay. Yep. So I got a couple of things. So
I do too.
You got, we talked a little bit about the Olympics and, this super team that they did basketball. It's a little bit different. I don't think it's a done deal that the Americans win the gold because international basketball has taken a huge leap forward. And you're seeing this, right, in the NBA draft. So they're not going to have the road like an easy path and guaranteed sure gold for this, but
right.
They do have great players on the team. I'm not sure why this is Steph Curry's only Olympics. Why wasn't he on previous teams? That's a question I never got an answer
Injury,
to.
maybe?
Possibly. Yeah, a couple
Possibly
things.
injury, vacation. I know he
Yeah,
went back to school and then kids, of course.
right. And
Maybe the money wasn't right.
right. And sticking with the basketball theme, we accurately predicted that Dan Hurley was not going to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Right.
And people said he turned down $10 million a year. And I said, well, that means Connecticut is going to re-sign him to a new deal. And he got it 6 years, $50 million. So, he
That's
made the
not a
right
good deal.
decision. He made the decision for him and his family. Money was never the issue. When you're that kind of a caliber coach and two-time defending champion, you deserve to be paid what these other guys who haven't won anything get paid.
Listen, how I view listen, I'm glad he stayed with Connecticut, but here's what I have to say. And with UConn, 6-year, $50 million deal, that is absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to be greedy and everything, $50 million, but for $50 million for 6 years, and that's what you get for being one of the top head coaches in the group right now. I mean, to return like that, I don't know. I think they should opt it a little bit for 6 more years, if you ask me, because that's
I don't know.
That's a little weak to me, if you ask me. I don't know.
Well, who's getting? Who are the highest paid coaches then? I mean, I don't. That has to be on par with the guys that. Alabama signed Nate Oates to a new deal. It can't be more than what
I
he
understand
got.
that. Just I don't know, because for him to just give up this Lakers opportunity to return back to UConn just says something. But I mean, $50 million to me for 6 years. I get a 4-year $50 million deal, 3-year $1 million deal, but for 6 and 50, I don't know about that one.
It's not about the money for Dan Hurley.
I'm aware of that. I'm just saying, to me,
Yeah.
I'm just shocked by their decision by UConn to give him only that much.
Okay. I got a couple of the quick random points. So Keegan Bradley has been named Ryder Cup captain for the upcoming Ryder Cup, which I think is a great decision. He was kind of felt snubbed. He wasn't picked for the last one, so now he's the captain of this team. So that should be, he's young. He knows who the up and comers are. So I think he's going to put together a good run, good team for the Ryder Cup. A couple other quick little things. When we're talking about golf, and I was talking about this with somebody because last week the John Deere Classic and Davis Thompson won his first PGA event. But when you look at it, I mean, these guys absolutely destroyed this golf course. I mean, this guy won it at 28 under par, which is unheard of, right? I mean, it just, so are these courses, is technology, can they drive it so far that it's, a short iron in? It's just kind of crazy. It was just an observation saying, even the guy, who was 20th, finished 20th was still 20 over, under par. I mean, technology maybe, but it just seems like these guys, that's why the British and the majors are so much more challenging because the courses are much difficult and, with the rough and so forth. But that was just kind of an observation I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
And we did talk about, so this guy, Wander Franco, who a couple of years ago was the next superstar, playing for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's in trouble. His career might be over. He's facing sexual charges down in the Dominican Republic. And, he was a very promising player and he gave all that up for, just lack of judgment. I'm not condemning the guy now. He hasn't been tried and convicted yet, but that was a big loss.
It was a shock.
He was one of the first guys, like the really young guys that are now getting the money, right? Like Tatis, they signed him when he was really young, and Juan Soto, they signed when he was very young. So these guys were making money, and his career could be in jeopardy.
100%.
And also, former quarterback and national championship winner at Miami, Bernie Kosar, saw some sad news. He's battling both Parkinson's and liver failure. So he was always an underrated quarterback. I never thought he had an arm to be in the NFL, but for some reason he got the job done. So I give him credit, more credit than I thought. Back
Well,
when
we hope he feels
playing,
better. That's for sure, and I hope he continues to keep healthy. That's the
yeah.
bottom line.
So he's my age. So I don't know. I guess gotta hope. All right, Eli. I'm sure you got a random point of interest or two.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple. The NCAA has announced that the 2026 Indianapolis host site will not only host the March Madness Division I Final Four, this year it'll also include the Division II and III championships with the NIT semifinals and finals. So a lot of events happening all in Indianapolis in 2026. It's a pretty huge and big deal to see, and a good move by the NCAA.
Yeah, they held it. They hosted the NCAA a few
years
ago.
Yeah, but now they're also doing Division 2, 3, and NIT there on top of Division 1.
Cool.
All right, John Cena officially retires from the WWE, and Joe Tessitore joins the broadcast team. So that's pretty exciting news if you're a WWE fan. A new report says that once the Paris Olympics are done, the summer neighborhoods where the athletes would stay will become 2,500 new homes, 6,000 office spaces, 2 schools, a hotel, and a pretty cool green space, it says. So that's pretty cool to see.
Well, that's kind of interesting that they actually have a plan, because I think when the Olympics were in Montreal, there's still old stadiums and things that they built for the Olympics, which still remain almost vacant, and they never did anything with it. So that's interesting.
Yeah. The ESPYs took place this past Thursday. So if you're interested in checking out who won, go ahead and check out on ESPN.com or the ESPY winners page on Google search. It was not a good show. I was looking at it. There was a lot of comments. No, it was not like last year. It's a no for me on this year.
Yeah, not a big ESPYs guy.
No. And finally, Redbox, the home to renting DVD movies, will be shutting down after 22 years of service. No exact date of closure is set, but we can assume it'll be by the end of 2024, more than likely. As everybody knows, streaming is the way to go now. So that means no more DVDs and all that. So they're coming to a close.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's actually a good segue into our movie recommendations,
which is sponsored by Vital Selections. Scan the QR code to learn more. They're sponsored, of course, our photos and movies picks for the week.
Yeah, start taking care of your health. It's valuable. So I again, we kind of wavered last week, Eli. I did instead of a movie recommendation, I did kind of a music recommendation. So I'm going to go back to movies, although if people have suggestions and they want to say, I know Andrew Carolyn told us, he said, why don't you do like restaurant recommendations or food or something, possibly. But I'm sticking with this right off your Redbox comments about, here's a great movie from and I know people say, boy, this guy picks old movies, man. Well, sometimes old movies are
the better ones.
And this one, indeed, 12 Angry Men. And you
never
want to talk about
it.
You never saw it? No, right?
No.
Right, but you've heard of Henry Fonda, and you know who all these guys were. Jack Warden, Jack Klugman, Lee J. Cobb. It's actually, what's unique about it, it's basically filmed in one room. There's not a lot of other outside things. So it's a murder case, and they walk in and everybody thinks, the guy's guilty, and Henry Fonda, tries to convince them that, you have to look at things differently, when you're sitting in a juror's box. It's a great, great movie. Like I said, the all-star cast, 12 Angry Men.
All right. Well, my pick for this week, it's going to be a TV pick. In honor of the death of one of the characters from the show, my recommendation is to watch Alf. The show Alf. Remember the character Alf? The movie, yeah. Yeah, so my pick is going to be watch Alf. It was a great series, a great show to watch. Kind of
you know what?
strange, but it was fun to watch.
As corny as it was, I actually did see some, and it was kind of funny.
It
Believe it
was
or not.
funny but good. I mean, it was like a little like odd at times, but it was just sometimes you could just
Yeah, I
see
wouldn't
like,
set my clock for it like I would Charlie's Angels or something, but
well, I mean, but just saying like if you saw him like sometimes you see Alf walk and stuff, and it was just like
yeah,
like
no,
it was pretty funny. It wasn't like how now you could like notice when something's fake and real. Like that, you could just tell like they really put time and effort to make sure the character can walk and do this and that. It was pretty amazing, if you ask
yeah,
me. So my
it was
pick is to
kind of
watch
fun.
Alf.
Okay, and Alf lasted a bunch of years too. I
Yeah,
know.
it was a hit show on NBC.
Okay, so and it's funny because I know you have when we get to our notable passing segment something directly relating to that show.
Exactly. So that's why there's always a tie into something in the show.
Good, good, good journalism there. You know.
Exactly. Here's the photo for
Okay,
the week.
I got a picture here, and there he is. That's my grandson Hudson, and behind him is his big brother and baseball player extraordinaire, Logan. So that's Hudson and Logan in the pool, and pretty good week for a pool. He's only 2 years old, but he's starting to learn how to swim already. So the kid's cute as a button, and I just love those guys.
Well, that's great to see.
Yeah. So, Eli, let's do touch base on some notable passings, and we'll talk from the world of sports first,
Right.
because I just saw this morning that Monty Kiffin passed away, and Monty Kiffin was 84 years old, but quite a resume. He was defensive coordinator for the Vikings, the Cowboys, and maybe most notably under Tony Dungy, I think when they won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
So football was this guy's life, and he started his coaching career as a graduate assistant under Bob Devaney at Nebraska, and got promoted to defensive coordinator and won back-to-back national championships with Nebraska, and then took the same role, defensive coordinator, when Tom Osborne took over in 1973. So he really is well known, big loss in the NFL. And
Right.
like I said, his son Lane is now the head coach at Ole Miss. So Monty Kiffin was 84, but quite a resume, quite a resume.
Right.
And from also kind of a tragic story, I watched Oregon last year several times because
Yeah.
I liked watching Hicks, and Oregon was in the mix the whole time, and they just couldn't get over the hump against Washington. But Kyrie Jackson, 24, dies in a
Yeah.
car accident. He was a second-round pick from Oregon by the Minnesota Vikings. So that's a tragic story there. Kid's dream was to play in the NFL, and he had the opportunity, and it didn't work
Our
out.
thoughts and prayers as always.
Yeah. So also from the world of entertainment, John Landau, notable movie producer, produced
Yes.
some of the biggest movies ever, like Titanic, and
Avatar. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
They're
only
big hits, not only for Sony, Disney, Universal. There were a couple big ones that he made, especially
yeah.
Avatar. And obviously, it's been
Oh,
growing up even huger now.
yeah, no, he was big in Hollywood. Believe it or not, he was only 63 with
Yeah.
that was a little surprising.
Yeah, it was.
And yeah, so I'll let what's your Alf connection to our notable
Yeah,
past?
Benji Gregory, known as Brian Tanner in Alf. He died at the age of 46. He was born in 1978. Cause is gearing towards a heat stroke, is the major cause that we're
Oof.
gearing towards.
Wow.
The last notable passing is Jim Morris, vice chairman of Pacers Sports and Entertainment. He died at the age of 81 this morning. The Pacers and the NBA released a statement today.
Yeah, I think when we mentioned it in the pre-production, I think Jim Morris was the name of the pitcher that came out when he was like almost 50 and had an opportunity.
Right.
It was a true story, right? I wonder if that's the same guy. I wonder if it's the same guy.
It might be.
Huh. Interesting. Wow. So, we had like I said, we only close with notable passings to honor those people. And,
Right.
it's not meant to go on a down note at all. So, but by the way, again, I really can't express the thanks Eli and I have for our loyal listeners and the support
Absolutely.
that we've been getting and the emails. Of course, send us at sportswithmono@gmail.com.
Right, us to comment on YouTube.
Eli and Eli's ramping up with our exposure on Instagram. So things are really going in the right direction for us. And I know Eli will be attending a broadcaster's training class next week.
Yes, I am. I'll be in Montclair for the week, and we're going to be live at the field we'll be doing stuff in camp from Monday to Thursday. Friday, we'll be at a baseball field doing stuff for the Somerset Patriots. So I'll be making sure I give some shout outs and representing our group out.
Good. Yeah, I know you got some big name guys there: Kenny Albert, Bob Wischusen, all those kind of guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good. Excellent. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. So, like I said, stay in
show.
touch with us, and we'll stay in touch with you. And
Absolutely.
Nice to have you back. It feels like Eli, like it's been like
a week,
2 weeks since we did our July 4th special.
I know.
Right?
It felt like forever. So much to talk about. Exactly.
It did. But like I said, we'll be back at you next Saturday at 10, same time, our usual slot, unless things change. And again, I apologize if there was some technical issues in the beginning. I don't know what causes that, but yeah, it's beyond our control. All right. Well, so thanks everybody. Enjoy the week, and then Eli, you enjoy the weekend and watch the Wimbledon final tomorrow. And thanks again to all our loyal listeners, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, Eli. Be good.